Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton. Are you afraid of death? Do you wonder what is going to happen to you after you die? Is it possible you have a spirit which came from somewhere else and will return there after your body dies? Or is this just wishful thinking because you are afraid? It is a paradox that humans alone, of all the creatures of the earth, must repress the fear of death in order to lead normal lives. Yet our biological instinct never lets us forget this ultimate danger to our being. As we grow older, the specter of death rises in our consciousness. Even religious people fear death is the end of personhood. Our greatest dread of death brings thoughts about the nothingness of death, which will end all associations with family and friends. Dying makes all our earthly goals seem futile. If death were the end of everything about us, then life indeed would be meaningless. However, some power within us enables humans to conceive of a hereafter and to sense a connection to a higher power and even an eternal soul. If we do actually have a soul, then where does it go after death? Is there really some sort of heaven full of intelligent spirits outside our physical universe? What does it look like? What do we do when we get there? Is there a supreme being in charge of this paradise? These questions are as old as humankind itself and still remain a mystery to most of us. In the early days of my practice, I resisted past life requests from people because of my orientation toward traditional therapy. While I used hypnosis and age regression techniques to determine the origins of disturbing memories and childhood trauma, I felt any attempt to reach a former life was unorthodox and non-clinical. My interest in reincarnation and metaphysics was only intellectual curiosity until I worked with a young man on pain management. This client complained of a lifetime of chronic pain on his right side. One of the tools of hypnotherapy to manage pain is directing the subject to make the pain worse so he or she can also learn to lessen the aching and thus acquire control. In one of our sessions involving pain intensification, this man used the imagery of being stabbed to recreate his torment. Searching for the origins of this image, I eventually uncovered his former life as a World War I soldier who was killed by a bayonet in France, and we were able to limit the pain altogether. With encouragement from my clients, I began to experiment with moving some of them further back in time before their last birth on Earth. Initially, I was concerned that a subject's integration of current needs, beliefs, and fears would create fantasies of recollection. However, it didn't take long before I realized our deep-seated memories offer a set of past experiences which are too real and connected to be ignored. I came to appreciate just how therapeutically important the link is between the bodies and events of our former lives and who we are today. Then I stumbled onto a discovery of enormous proportions. I found it was possible to see into the spirit world through a mind's eye of a hypnotized subject who could report back to me of life between lives on Earth. The subconscious houses our real identity, augmented by the subconscious, which contains the memories of the many alter egos assumed by us in our former human bodies. The superconscious may not be a level at all, but the soul itself. The superconscious mind represents our highest center of wisdom and perspective, and all my information about life after death comes from this source of intelligent energy. In theta, the conscious mind is not unconscious, so we are able to receive as well as send messages with all memory channels open. My clients remember certain aspects of their spiritual life quite vividly, while other experiences are hazy to them. As a result, even with these 29 cases, I found I could not give the reader the full range of information I have gathered about the spiritual world. Thus, my chapters contain details from more cases than just the 29 listed. Death and Departure, Chapter 1. What are the similarities of afterlife recollection between people reporting on their out-of-body experiences as a result of temporary physical trauma and a subject in hypnosis recalling death in a past life? Both find themselves floating around their bodies in a strange way. Both state they feel a pulling sensation away from the place where they died and experience relaxation and curiosity rather than fear. All these people report a euphoric sense of freedom and brightness around them. Contrary to what some people believe, souls often have little interest in what happens to their bodies once they are physically dead. However, many other souls want to hover around the place where they died for a few Earth days, usually until after their funerals. Time is apparently accelerated for souls, and days on Earth may be only minutes to them. There is one basic reason for many spirits not wanting to immediately leave the place of their physical death. This comes from a desire to mentally reach out to comfort loved ones before progressing further into the spirit world. In the chapters ahead, we will see how specific memory is a reflection of our own soul, while collective memories are the atoms of pure energy for all souls. Dying is the easiest period in our lives for spiritual awareness when we sense our soul is connected to the eternity of time. My clients say after recalling former death experiences, they are so filled with rediscovered freedom from their earth bodies that they are anxious to get started on their spiritual journey to a place of peace and familiarity. In the cases which follow, we will learn what life is like for them in afterlife. Chapter 2, Gateway to the Spirit World. I enjoy hearing from subjects about their first images of the spirit world. People may see fields of wildflowers, castle towers rising in the distance, or rainbows under an open sky when returning to this place of adoration after an absence. These first ethereal earth scenes of the spirit world don't seem to change a great deal over a span of lives for the returning soul, although there is variety between client descriptions. Chapter 3, Homecoming. Since encountering friendly spirits who meet us after death is so important, how do we recognize them? I find a general consensus of opinion among subjects in hypnosis about how souls look to each other in the spirit world. A soul may appear as a mass of energy, but apparently it is also possible for non-organic soul energy to display human characteristics. A curious phenomenon about the spirit world is that important people in our lives are always able to greet us, even though they may be already be living another life in a new body. What would you and Larry look like to someone watching you in the spirit world right now? They would see two masses of bright light whirling around each other, I guess. And what does this signify? We are hugging, expressing love, connecting. It makes us happy. How do you manage to hold each other with no bodies? We envelop each other in light, of course. Tell me what that is like for spirits, like being wrapped in a bright light blanket of love. Cases 6 and 7 both represent one of the three ways newly arrived souls are received back into the spirit world. These two souls were met shortly after death by a principal entity, followed by others of decreasing influence. Case 7 recognized people more quickly than case 6. The concept of souls having fallibility comes as a surprise to some people. The statements of case 8 and all my other clients indicate most of us are still far from perfect beings in the spirit world. The essential purpose of reincarnation is self-improvement. The psychological ramifications of our development, both in and out of the spirit world, is the foundation of my work. Chapter 4, the displaced soul. There are two types of displaced souls: those who do not accept the fact that their physical body is dead and fight returning to the spirit world for reasons of personal anguish, and those souls who have been subverted by or had complicity with criminal abnormalities in the human body. My subjects say to me, no soul is inherently evil, although it may acquire this label in human life. Pathological evil in human is characterized by feelings of personal impotence and weakness, which is stimulated by helpless victims. However, all souls are held accountable for their conduct in the bodies they occupy. Does hell exist to permanently separate good souls from bad souls? All my casework with the spirits of my subjects has convinced me there is no residence of terrible suffering for souls except on earth. I am told all souls go to one spirit world after death where everyone is treated with patience and love. The key to growth is understanding we are given the ability to make mid-course corrections in our life and having the courage to make necessary changes when what we are doing is not working for us. At the end of every life, rather than having a monster waiting to devour our souls, we serve as our most severe critic in front of teacher guides. Chapter 5, Orientation. After those entities who meet us during our homecoming have dispersed, we are ready to be taken to a space of healing. This would be followed by another stop involving the soul's reorientation to a spiritual environment. When I was younger and less experienced, I came here more damaged. The energy here seemed less effective because I didn't know how to use it to completely purge the negativity. I carried old wounds with me longer despite the healing energy. There is no such thing here as punishment. That's an earth condition. Clodius will be disappointed that I bailed out early and didn't have the courage to face my difficulties. By choosing to die as I did means I have to come back later and deal with the same thing all over again in a different life. I just wasted a lot of time by checking out early. If a soul only knew love and peace, it would gain no insight and never truly appreciate the value of these positive feelings. The test of reincarnation for a soul coming to earth is the conquering of fear in a human body, as a soul grows by trying to overcome all negative emotions connected to fear through perseverance in many lives, often returning to the spirit world bruised or hurt. Chapter 6, Transition. When you are moving around as a spirit, what is the major difference in your interactions with other souls compared to being in human form on Earth? Here, no one is a stranger. There is a total lack of hostility toward anyone. We recognize the universal bond between us, which makes us all the same. There is no suspicion toward each other. How does this attitude manifest itself between souls who first meet? By complete openness and acceptance. I would have to say, because the brain drives a lot of fear and violence into our souls, it's hard for us, but that's why we come to Earth, to overcome. Chapter 7, Placement. My impression of the people who believe we do have a soul is that they imagine all souls are mixed into one great congregation of space. Many of my subjects believe this too before their sessions begin. After awakening, it is no wonder they express surprise with the knowledge that everyone has a designated place in the spirit world. Group placement is determined by soul level. The smaller subgroup primary clusters vary in number, containing anywhere from 3 to 25 souls. I am told the average assemblage is about 15, which is called the inner circle. I think what we have to keep in mind is that people tend to structure their frame of reference during a trance state with what their conscious mind sees and has experienced on Earth. In human form, apparently, we have an ionized energy field flowing out and around our physical bodies connected by a network of vital power points called chakras. It has also been said that a human aura reflects thoughts and emotions combined with the physical health of an individual. What is the difference? Are you saying these guides radiate energy which is not white? That's right. Well, what color are they? Yellow, of course. Oh, so all guides radiate yellow energy? No, they don't. What? Carla's teacher is Belair's. He is blue. We see him sometimes here. Nice guy, very smart. Okay, but will you help me straighten out these color schemes? Why is Caller's energy radiating yellow and Valaire's blue? That's easy. Valaire's precedes all of us in knowledge, and he gives off a darker intensity of light. And how does Carla's yellow color vary from your whiteness in terms of where you are going with your own advancement? I'm turning into a reddish white. Eventually, I'll have light gold. Recently, I've noticed Carla turning a little darker yellow. I expected it. She is so knowledgeable and good. Really. And then will she eventually take her energy level to dark blue in intensity? No, to a light blue first. It's always gradual as our energy becomes more dense. People in hypnosis speak of colors to describe how souls appear, especially from a distance when they are shapeless. For my cases, I have learned the more advanced souls project masses of faster moving energy particles, which are reported to be blue in color, with the highest concentrations being purple. In the visible spectrum on Earth, blue-violet has the shortest wavelength, with energy peaking in the invisible ultraviolet. If color density is a reflection of wisdom, then the lower wavelengths of white through yellow emanating from souls must represent lower concentrations of vibrational energy. I want to summarize what I have learned about the basic principles of soul group assignments. Regardless of the relative time of creation after their novice status is completed, all beginner souls are assigned to a new group of souls at their level of understanding. Once a new soul support group is formed, no new members are added to the future. In the future, there appears to be a systematic selection procedure for homogeneous groupings of souls. Similarities of ego, cognitive awareness, expression, and desire are all considerations. Irrespective of size, cluster groups do not directly intermix with each other's energy, but souls can communicate with one another across primary and secondary group boundaries. Primary clusters in levels 1 and 2 may split into smaller subgroups for study, but are not separated from the integrated whole without a single cluster of souls. Chapter 8, our guides. Guides are complex entities, especially when they are master guides. The awareness level of the soul determines, to some extent, the degree of advancement of the guide assigned to them. In fact, the maturity of a particular guide also has a bearing on whether these teachers have only one student or many under their direction. Guides of the senior level of ability and above usually work with an entire group of souls in the spirit world and on earth. Guides also comfort us during the trying periods in our lives, especially when we are children in need of solace. Guides do appear to be assigned to us in the spirit world in an orderly fashion. From what I can determine, the procedure for teacher selection is carefully managed in the spirit world. Every human being has at least one senior or a highly master guide assigned to their soul since the soul was first created. Since guides seem to have different approaches to teaching, what do they all have in common? They wouldn't be teachers if they didn't have a love of training and a desire to help us join them. What are the most important things they do as you see it? They build morale in their sections and instill confidence. We all know they have been through a lot themselves. We are accepted for who we are as individuals with the right to make our own mistakes. What would you say is the most important attribute of any guide? The ability to motivate you and instill courage. What is the average spirit guide life like? In my experience, no two guides are the same. These dedicated higher entities give me the impression of having an attitudinal swings toward me from one session to the next, and even within the same session within a client. They can be cooperative or obstructive, tolerant or disobliging, evasive or revealing, or just flat out unconcerned with anything I do with the subject. Guides only want the best for us, and sometimes this means they must watch us endure much pain to teach, to reach certain objectives. Guides cannot assist in our progress until we are ready to make the necessary changes in order to take full advantage of life's opportunities. Guides are not consistent in the manner in which they choose to assist us because they carefully evaluate how badly they are needed. I'm also asked if hypnosis is the best way to get in contact with one's guides. Naturally, I lean toward hypnosis because I know how potent and effective this medium can be to obtain detailed spiritual information. However, hypnosis by a trained facilitator is not convenient on a daily basis, where meditation, prayer, and perhaps channeling with another person would be. We all have the capacity to send out far-reaching thought waves from our higher consciousness. If we are relaxed and in a state of concentrated focus, an inner voice speaks to us. And even if we didn't initiate the message, we should trust what we hear. When they are in trance, my clients see that their guides don't help them solve all their problems at once. Rather, they eliminate pathways by the use of clues. When seeking guidance, I suggest requesting help with just the next step in your life. When you do this, be prepared for unexpected possibilities. Have the faith and humility to open yourself up to a variety of paths toward solutions. In my opinion, guides are no more or less divine than we are, which is why they are seen as personal beings. Every soul has a spiritual higher power linked to its existence. All souls are part of the same divine essence generated from one oversoul. This intelligent energy is universal in scope, and so we all share in divine status. Chapter 9, the beginner soul. There are two types of beginner souls: souls who are truly young in terms of exposure to an existence out of the spiritual body, and souls who have been reincarnating on earth for a long period of time but still remain immature. I believe almost 3/4 of all souls who inhabit human bodies on earth today are in the early stages of development. My subjects state the souls end their incarnations on earth when they reach full maturity. I've had many cases where a client has been incarnating for up to 30,000 years on earth and is still in the lower levels of 1 and 2. I have learned there seems to be a kind of spirit world, maternity world for newborn souls. Every one of my clients has special attachment to their soul group, regardless of character makeup. People tend to think of souls in the free state as being without human deficiencies. Without our bodies, we take criticism a little differently. We see each other for who we are without resentment or jealousy. And what do you feel when you are under the cone? We can feel all our thoughts being expanded, then drawn up and returned back with more knowledge added. Does this intelligent energy help your unity as a group in terms of more focused thinking? Yes, it does. I have learned that many spiritual clusters have subgroups made up of entities whose identities are linked by similar issues blocking their advancement. I understand from my white light subjects that souls at the beginning levels are frequently separated from their groups to individually work on simple energy projects. Chapter 10, the intermediate souls. Souls evolving into the middle development levels have less association with primary groups because they have acquired the maturity and experience for operating more independently. These souls are also reducing the number of their incarnations. Levels 3 and 4 are significant stages for souls in their development because now they are given increased responsibility for younger souls. The status of a guide is not given to us all at once, however. As with many other aspects of soul life, we are carefully tested. What is your brother's major lesson? To acquire humility without being crushed by a life of little self-gratification. Without addressing and overcoming pain, you can never really connect with who you are and build on that. I must tell you, the more pain and adversity which come to you as a child, the more opportunity to expand your potential. The world without ego, the world of all-knowing, the world of creation and non-creation, and the world of altered time. Are they worlds which exist in our physical universe? One does. The rest are non-dimensional spheres of attention. The soul is pure energy with no real self yet. The world without ego provides you with a signature. Then why do you call it the world without ego? Because the newly created souls arrive with no ego. I wondered if certain types of souls have affinity for specific forms of physical life in the universe. I wouldn't argue against that. As a new soul, the guides assist in these selections. I was drawn to human beings. Were you given other choices? Yes, but it's not very clear at the moment. They usually start you on an easy world or two without much to do. Then I was offered service on this severe planet. Earth is considered severe? Yes, on some worlds, you must overcome physical discomforts, even suffering. Others lean toward mental contests. Earth has both. Humans are egocentric but vulnerable. They can make their character mean and yet have a great capacity for kindness. There is weak and courageous behavior on Earth. It's always a push me, pull you, tug of war going on with human values. This diversity suits my soul. Those of us developing on Earth have a sanction to help humans know of the infinite beyond their life and to assist them in expressing true benevolence through their passion. Have you been to the world of all-knowing? No, I'm not ready. I am only aware of it as a place we strive for. What do you know about the spiritual area? It is a place of contemplation, the ultimate mental world of planning and design. It is a dimension where the realization of all our hopes and dreams is possible. Do animals have souls? Yes, all living things do, but they have very simple fragments of mind energy. The Advanced Soul, Chapter 11. The mark of an advanced soul is one who has patience with society and shows extraordinary coping skills. Most prominent is their exceptional insight. They may be found in all walks of life, but are frequently in the helping professions or combating social injustice in some fashion. The advanced soul radiates composure, kindness, and understanding toward others. For instance, the Azores in the Atlantic Ocean have been said to represent the tops of mountains of the submerged continent of Atlantis. Indeed, I have had subjects discuss being in ancient lands on Earth that I cannot identify with modern geography. What is the feeling one gets when meeting a sage on Earth? You feel a special presence. Their power of understanding and the advice they give you is so wise. They do live simply. Material things mean nothing to them. So where does the soul's integrity fit into this? The extension of desire. Integrity is the desire to be honest about self and motives to such an extent that full awareness of the path to the source is possible. On the count of 3, you will feel more comfortable talking to me about how souls function as guides. Begin by telling me in what way a company member on Earth can signal to get your attention. First, they have to calm their minds and focus attention away from their immediate surroundings. How would they do this? By silence, reaching inward to fasten on their inner voice. But when the situation does call for spiritual guidance, what do you do? As watchers in the stillness, we recognize the amount of turbulence from the wake of troubled thought. Then we carefully merge with it and gently touch the mind. It's a slip stream of thought, which is usually turbulent rather than smooth from someone in distress. Watchers, too, have a variety of abilities. If one of my company is in crisis, physical, hurt, sad, anxious, resentful, they send out great amounts of uncontrolled negative energy, which alerts me but exhausts them. This is the challenge of a watcher, to know when and how to communicate. What do you think of the Earth school by comparison? The Earth school is insecure. There is so much fear to overcome here. It is a world in conflict because there is too much diversity among too many people. Other worlds have low populations with more harmony. We all know Earth is a difficult school. I believe souls do come across time and space for each other. We know our own galaxy has more than 200 billion stars within a universe currently speculated at 100 billion galaxies. The worlds around the sun, which might support life, are staggering to the imagination. Consider if only a small fraction of 1% of the stars in our galaxy had planets with intelligent life useful to souls, the number would still be in the millions. Those subjects who are able to discuss their experiences on other worlds tell me that before coming to Earth, souls are frequently placed in the bodies of creatures with less intelligence than human beings. Can you describe the Creator in more human terms as the ultimate selfless being which we strive to be? Are you saying souls can enter various rooms of different physical realities from spiritual doorways? Yes, they can and do. Why does a source who is ostensibly perfect already need to create further intelligence, which is less than perfect, to help the creator create? In this way, by self-transformation, rising to higher plateaus of fulfillment, we add to the building blocks of life. Were souls forced to break away from the source and come to places like Earth because of some sort of original sin or fall from grace in the spirit world? That's nonsense. We came to be magnified in the beautiful variety of creation. And do you believe if the source didn't create souls to nurture and grow, its sublime energy would shrink from a lack of expression? Perhaps that is its purpose. Chapter 12, Life Selection. The opposite of past life regression is post-life progression, which enables some subjects to see snatches of the future as incomplete scenes. For instance, some have told me Earth's population will be greatly reduced by the end of the 22nd century, partly due to adverse soil and atmospheric changes. They also see people living in odd-looking domed buildings. When you are ready for a new incarnation, what do? I go to a special place. Once a soul has decided to incarnate again, the next stage in the return process is to be directed to the place of life selection. Souls consider when and where they want to go to Earth before making a decision on who they will be in the new life. Time is used as a catalyst for learning by viewing lives when you can't see everything that is going to happen. Yes, to test our ability to find solution, we gauge our abilities against the difficulty of the events. Whenever I am confused about what to do in life, I quietly sit down and think about where I have been and compare this to where I might want to go in the future. The answer to the next step just comes to me from inside myself. Chapter 13, Choosing a New Body. As souls, we choose our bodies for a reason. Living in a damaged body does not necessarily have to involve a karmic debt we are paying off because of past life responsibility for an injury to someone else. As my next case will demonstrate, when a soul is inside a damaged body, this choice can involve a learning path to another type of lesson. It is difficult to tell a newly injured person trying to cope with physical disablement that he or she has the opportunity to advance at a faster rate than those of us with healthy bodies and minds. I chose to be crippled to gain intellectual concentration. You chose a broken body for this? Yes. You see, being unable to walk made me read and study more. I developed my mind and listened to my mind. So you gained a lot in this life by being unable to walk. Yes, I became a listener and thinker. I corresponded with many people and learned to write with inspiration. I gained teaching ability with the young and felt guided by an internal power. By surviving different challenges, our soul identity is strengthened. Even as victims, we are beneficiaries because it is how we stand up to failure and duress which really marks our progress in life. Sometimes one of the most important lessons is to learn just to let go of the past. No one is forced to do anything. We know what should be done. To know ourselves spiritually means understanding why we joined in life with the souls of parents, siblings, spouses, and close friends. There is usually some karmic purpose for receiving pain or pleasure from someone close to us. A person may be highly intelligent and yet have a closed attitude about adjusting to new situations with little curiosity about the world. This indicates a beginner soul to me. Chapter 14, Preparation for Embarkation. Our soul power grows with what we discover. My advice to people about meaningful encounters is not to intellectualize coming events too much. Some of our best decisions come from what we call instinct. Go with your gut feelings at the time. When a special moment is meant to happen in life, it usually does. Chapter 15, Rebirth. My subjects say if they were to compare the moment of birth with that of death, the physical shock of being born is much greater. How far along in age is the body by your time your soul stops leaving the child altogether? At about 5 or 6 years of age. Usually we get fully operational when the child starts school. Children under this age can be left to their own devices a lot. Conclusion. When I ask my subjects how a loving God could permit suffering, surprising, there are a few variations in their responses. My cases report our souls are born of a creator, which places a totally peaceful state, delivery out of reach, so we will strive harder. We learn from wrongdoing. At a Wat temple in the mountains of northern Thailand, a Buddhist teacher once reminded me of a simple truth. Life, he said, is offered as a means of self-expression, only giving us what we seek when we listen to the heart. The highest forms of this expression are acts of kindness.